Whether you're launching a product, planning a wedding, or just trying to get a home renovation done on time, every single project is a leap into the unknown. So today, we're going to break down project risk management. We're going to turn this kind of complex idea into your personal playbook for mastering uncertainty.
This quote from our source material just nails it, doesn't it? It's that little voice in the back of your head that knows no plan, no matter how perfect, is ever completely safe. It's the one truth that connects every project out there, big or small. And that's the million-dollar question, right? When things get chaotic, and they will, do you just react and panic, or do you respond with a plan? Because there is a way to not just survive the unexpected, but to actually come out ahead.
Okay, so let's start by looking at chaos right in the eye. See, before we can even think about controlling risk, we have to respect it. We have to get that the potential for things to go off the rails, well, that isn't a sign of bad planning, it's just part of the game.
I'm sure we've all been there. That simple software update that suddenly crashes the entire system right before a deadline? Yep. The one material you absolutely need, it's on back order for 6 weeks now. And your budget? Well, let's just say it's mysteriously disappeared. These are those classic derailments that good risk management gets you ready for.
So, if chaos is basically a given, how do you tame it? Well, you don't leave it to luck. You create a strategic playbook. And that playbook is what we call project risk management. This is the moment we stop being reactive and start being proactive. So, what exactly is this thing? Well, at its core, it's a systematic process. And honestly, that word systematic is the key. This isn't about worrying or just guessing what might go wrong. It's a structured, repeatable method for looking ahead, spotting trouble, and having a smart answer ready to go.
And this right here is a huge mindset shift. Think about it. Risk management isn't just about playing defense, trying to block all the bad things. It's actually an offensive strategy. By handling the downsides, you're literally clearing the path for everything to go right, and that dramatically boosts your chances of success.
All right, so what does this playbook actually look like? Well, it's a really powerful 6-step process. Think of these as the fundamental plays you can run over and over again all the way through your project. Now, the most important thing to get about this process is that it is not a one-and-done checklist. It's a loop. It's a continuous cycle. You identify what could happen, you analyze how bad it could be, you prioritize the biggest threats, and then you plan your response. And then you monitor and review constantly because things are always changing. Now, to run that playbook well, you have to know what you're up against. It's just like in a strategy game, right? You've got to understand the different types of opponents, or in this case, threats, that you might have to face.
So, most risks fall into one of 5 main buckets. You've got your resource-based risks, like financial, think sudden budget cuts, and schedule risks, like a key task taking way longer than you thought. Then you have execution risks, like technical problems or operational hiccups. And finally, you've got the real wild cards, external risks. These are the things totally out of your control, like a new government regulation popping up out of nowhere.
Okay, we've defined the game, we know the opponents, now it's time for the really good part. Mastering the moves, the specific tools and strategies you're going to use to win. Your very first move before you do anything else is to properly assess the threat. You can't fight an enemy you don't understand. And this just means figuring out how likely a risk is to actually happen and, how much damage it could do if it does.
And you've got 2 main ways to do this. First, there's qualitative analysis. Think of this as your quick gut check. It's subjective, it's fast, and it's perfect for the early stages. But when you need more precision for those really complex, high-stakes projects, you bring in the heavy hitter, quantitative analysis. That's all about hard data and statistics.
So, how do you organize all this analysis? Well, one of the most powerful and honestly surprisingly simple tools you can use is called the risk matrix. It helps you visually sort the small annoyances from the absolute project killers. It's really simple. You just plot each risk based on its probability, how likely it is to happen, and its impact, if it does. See? Anything that ends up in that top right corner, the high probability, high impact red zone, that's where you put your energy first. It's a fantastic way to cut through all the noise. So once you know what your top priorities are, it's time to choose your response. And you don't just have one move here. You've got 4 really powerful strategic options. First up, you can avoid the risk completely. This is your most decisive move. Say there's a new experimental technology that's just too unpredictable. You simply choose a proven, reliable one instead. Boom, threat eliminated.
The trade-off, of course, is you might miss out on a big innovation, but hey, sometimes certainty is exactly what you need.
Your second move is to transfer the risk. This doesn't make it go away, but it shifts the consequences onto someone else. The classic example is just buying insurance. If something goes wrong, the insurance company takes the financial hit, not you. The trade-off is pretty obvious. It costs money. You're paying for peace of mind.
Third, and this is probably the most common one, you can mitigate. So here, you can't get rid of the risk, but you can take smart steps to make it less likely to happen, or at least less painful if it does. Things like adding extra quality checks. The trade-off here is that it takes resources, your time, your money, and your team's effort. And finally, your fourth move is to simply accept the risk. Now, this is not about giving up or being lazy. It's a conscious, strategic decision you make for those low-priority risks. You see it, you acknowledge it could happen, but you decide the cost of fighting it is actually worse than the potential damage. The trade-off? You better be right.
Okay, so let's wrap this all up. Here's the bottom line. Uncertainty is a guarantee, but being unprepared, that's a choice. Risk management is your proactive playbook. Just remember that 6-step cycle and know your 4 responses: avoid, transfer, mitigate, or accept. This is how you go from just hoping for success to actually engineering it. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. Your next project. Could be at work, could be at home. What is just one potential risk, one uncertainty that you can identify and make a plan for? Right now,